think you ended it.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Trust Issues. It's episode 14. We're back. And right as I clicked go live, I remembered I have literally one job with this thing, and that is to enable local recordings before I start it, so that the editors have like better files to work with. And I forget every single week, but I caught it just in the nick of time today, so I nailed it.
So this is the first time we've had a local recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Good one. Nice.
Yep. So, Emily, all that means is that when we're done, I'll let you know how it, like, what the status is, but you might just have to keep the tab open for a few minutes to finish the upload. Anyway, how are you? It's good to see you.
You know, here I am. It's been super weirdly hot where I live. My rose bushes are blooming, and my finger lime tree has grown 6 new limbs, and my avocado tree is going nuts. I don't know, I got all my seeds in the ground and they're sprouted. It seems unnatural.
Yeah, it's been very up and down for us. Like today it was in the 50s, but yesterday it was almost 90. And today it's been like 30-mile-an-hour winds all day. So everything is, patio furniture is just all over the place.
I don't like
okay,
that.
Wait, I have a question before we get into the topic for tonight. Did you grow your avocado tree from the beginning, or did you buy it already grown and then replant it?
No, and let me tell you about avocado trees specifically.
Please do, because I've been trying and failing for years to get one to grow into something, but I've been starting from scratch every time.
You cannot, because the avocado you buy at a store is almost definitely a Haas avocado, and a Haas avocado cannot grow from a seed. It's explicitly a grafted avocado, and the invention of the Haas avocado is actually why avocados took off in the 70s, because before then they either had good texture or poor flavor, or good flavor and poor texture. And the specific innovation of the graft that results in the Haas avocado is the one that people find very palatable. So if you grow it from a seed or like an avocado pit, you're not going to get the Haas avocado. You're going to get one side or the other of it. So it's either going to have good texture or it's going to have good flavor, but it won't have good texture and good flavor. So you must buy an avocado tree.
All right. I tried, a lot of times to get it to, I can always get it to sprout. I could always get this cute little tree.
Yeah, and then, you can grow it. It's just going to suck.
Well, I never even got that far. And then I finally, one time, I got one beautiful sprout coming out of my compost pile. And I was like, okay, nobody look at it. Nobody touch it. Just leave it alone. Inevitably, a dog destroyed it, but I don't think it was going anywhere anyway. And now I had no idea that's how that worked. So that's
so there's that, which is important to know. The other thing that's important to know specifically about the Haas avocado tree is that's a big tree, and rats love it. So you do not want a Haas avocado tree. I have a little Cabo avocado tree, which is very similar to the Haas avocado in flavor and texture, but it's more like a dwarf tree. So it'll max out at like 12 feet. So you can reach it, and it does not attract rats because it doesn't have the same structure in the trunk. So anyways, buy your avocado tree. Don't grow it from a pit.
All right. Well, you heard it here first.
And if you'd like any more somewhat useful, not really useful information, here I am.
Well, I think I'm now going to start a new tradition where I ask you about another plant in your garden, in your portfolio before we start, because I have a lot of new plants that I've never had before. This part of Georgia that I live in is region, I think it's 8, where basically you can grow anything. And I've never...
8? Yeah. 8 is colder than me. I'm a 9.
I'd have to look and see exactly where I'm at. I just know you can grow
You're way more south than I'm, and way more, closer to tropical. I would expect you to be a 10.
I'm definitely not 10. Definitely not 10. That I can tell you.
All right. Well, and most plants span the range. However, just never ask about my ficus.
Noted. Oh,
ficuses
okay. Sorry. A 9B. That's what I'm in.
Yeah. See, you're closer to a 10.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, so Emily, we were talking a little bit backstage. I think tonight what I want to focus on is something that doesn't get a lot of attention, and I think it should. That is the CFTC, as far as multi-lettered agencies go. And the reason I think it's a little bit more relevant right now is because obviously last week we saw this joint SEC and CFTC press release, which has kind of turned into like an internal guidance and, you know, some sort of framework structure. People have really grabbed onto it. It was interesting. I thought it was a good read. Notably, it's not law, but it does bring into question, okay, why is the CFTC in this conversation? We pretty much only talk about the SEC in crypto, and that's because the nature of what these things are has been in question for a long time. And so what is the CFTC supposed to do? So I have a whole bunch of little tidbits, but the thing that I wanted to start with is just that right now, the CFTC is more, I don't want to say important than ever, but it's more in the spotlight than I think ever before, because one of their primary responsibilities is to police market manipulation. Mm-hmm. And we are here in the United States, and we've been seeing a little bit of that lately. And notably, the CFTC has not done a single thing about it. And so question number one might be why? And the answer to that is quite simply, they can't right now. Not an accident. It's very, very purposeful. But at this point, there are a number of Democratic seats as far as like what are they called? Are they chairs? Are they they're not commissioners. Are they commissioners? Are they also called commissioners?
On the committees?
The panel, the board, the whoever's
those are seats.
Seats. Okay. At any rate,
members, they're committee members, but that's a seat on the committee. So whatever. Okay.
So the Democratic seats on this in the CFTC are currently vacant, which means they just can't really do anything. And the administration is heavily incentivized to keep it that way because, the administration really enjoys getting away with stuff that the CFTC is supposed to be shutting down. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that you're seeing kind of rampant prediction market betting minutes before, large announcements get made. You're seeing like the one yesterday, over $1.5 billion of S&P 500 futures were purchased, and then a whole bunch of oil futures were sold. Notably, that would probably trigger a CFTC investigation, but there is really nobody to investigate it right now. So this is one of the reasons that we've seen one of the Democratic tools of leverage inside of the Clarity Act negotiations, the inclusion of some sort of clause, conflicts of interest, banning presidents from participating in or buying or trading in or investing in or launching crypto-related ventures, and then more broadly, investment-related ventures. So okay, I just want to it took me a long time to learn the difference between these agencies and what they do and how they all relate. Sure. And if one goes away, how that stops another one from being able to do their job. So I think it's useful to just kind of back it up a little. Yeah, wherever you want to take it.
Okay. Yeah. So before we get too deep, just to give people context. So you have the SEC and the FTC. And the SEC is Securities and Exchange Committee, and the FTC is it Federal Trade Committee? I forget. But basically, those both that operate at a federal level, and that difference is important because the CFTC gets its funding and its operation budget, like you were talking about, through Congress. So they will stop being able to work if that happens. And then most importantly, not yet mentioned, is the Secret Service. And the Secret Service matters because the Secret Service doesn't just protect the president. The Secret Service is also responsible for investigating and charging for crimes related to fraud, counterfeiting, and cybersecurity, which also
Currencies
means
specifically, right?
specifically currency, which also means wire fraud. And the Secret Service is only connected to the FEC and the the SEC and the FTC through the CFTC. So without the CFTC, the entire Secret Service has no ability to act on any of the fraud, counterfeiting, wire fraud, and cryptocurrency fraud that goes on. It's all just removed because they took out the related entity in the middle. So like now nothing happens. Again, crime is legal, so go have fun. But like I think that's like one of the more complicated relationships that exists in government, and just understanding where it's like, oh, that's that's not my job, I'm going to go do something else. And like without really understanding that, it's easy to sit there and be like, oh, that's why aren't they doing anything about it? It's like, well, because they don't have the budget to do it, and they don't have the power to do anything if they have the budget to do it. So like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Just thinking about how these things are connected. I mean, interagency work affects, or I guess it touches every single one of these agencies. Everything works with something. I didn't even think about the Secret Service specifically, but that is one of those that I think
most important.
flies under the radar a lot. I think the overwhelming majority of people probably wouldn't be able to tell you that they work on counterfeiting crime specifically. You see it pop up in TV every now and then, where like someone mentions that there's a Secret Service agent involved in some kind of counterfeit thing. There's that show, was it Good Girls with Christina Hendricks and a couple other people. And so there was some Secret Service mentioned there, which I think like put it a little bit more on the radar because I hadn't really seen it talked about before. And I only actually really knew that because I had a friend that worked for the Secret Service and was specifically like on that whole thing.
It's another one of those like red herring budget items too, where they're like, why does this president need such a huge budget for Secret Service? They just protect him and his family. And it's like, okay, well, that's not actually all they do. But yeah.
It's like it's very similar actually in scope to the U.S. Marshals, who primarily do courtroom security and prisoner transfer, but like 5 of them do like the the Timothy Oliphant what's that show with the Marshals Service and where he gets justified. Like 5 of them do that, and the rest of them are just like transporting criminals back and forth between court and prison.
Right, they're like bus drivers.
And effectively, it's one. And then, it's the same thing with the Secret Service, like 8 of them are on protection detail, and then everybody else is doing all the other stuff, which is expansive for sure.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing that's important about the CFTC specifically in this case is that the CFTC is definitely in charge of commodities and derivatives. And both of those things are like hugely impactful in the crypto market, especially right now, especially as we talked about how things like prediction markets are just another example or like another path to derivatives. But like every ETF is a derivative. Every every way that you can make money without actually possessing, your cryptocurrency, all of those are derivatives. So it just kind of opens the floodgates for a huge backlog of, I guess crime, but just like regulation in general that they're unable to do until they have the money to do it. And then they'll like never get caught up with it. And then who knows where whoever has gone at that point. But no matter what, if there was a crime, even if it wasn't technically a crime, if something happened and they made money that like people are like, oh, that doesn't feel right, that means that somebody else lost money. And when somebody else loses money, it frequently lands them in some form of financial destitution. And that financial destitution could be in the form of the social safety net. And it could also be in the form of bankruptcy, which is just more burden on taxpayers. So it's like just more and more and more and more and more ways that all of this is being put on like the proletariat and being taken away from all the guys who are rich enough to basically like move to a country that doesn't extradite and hire an entire staff and like build a gigantic wall and give them all big fat guns so no one can come and get them. Like, I don't know. It's just, it feels like, it just feels like a super misguided thing where like you'll get somebody with smaller government. That's like better for me. And it's like, it's not better for you. It's better for like 70 people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a very, to be fair though, historically in the United States, growing the government still doesn't help the rest of us. That's the stuff that gets kneecapped before more than anything. I mean, I understand your point. It's worse one side than it is the other.
I'm not saying growing the government. I'm saying like, okay, so here's what happens, especially in any sort of like financial service. So like, I'm not sure if financial service is even the right way to describe it, but it's like anytime money is spent in the government, you're going to get somebody who wants to babysit how that money is spent. And the best way that they can come up with to babysit how the money is spent is to demand that they do audits and reports and whatever. Instead of just giving them the money and saying, this is your budget to go and do what you know how to do, they say, no, you actually have to spend a significant portion of the small budget that you get doing auditing and reporting of how the budget is spent. And then what they do is they go back and they look at it and they say, well, you're completely ineffective because we gave you this much money and you didn't get anything done. We're going to take even more money away. But all the money they gave them had to be spent on like the auditing and the reporting, and all of the people who were specialized in doing what that agency is actually supposed to do didn't get to do that job. They had to go do auditing and reporting. So it's more about this forced, or this assumption of lack of trust where there's going to be so much fraud that like it completely eliminates their ability to be effective. So now it's just like employing people to do nothing with all of that money instead of employing them to do something, for the fear that, 1% of the population that is asking for help might get something that they don't necessarily qualify for or deserve at the expense of everybody else, which just seems so ghoulish to me. But how dare one person slip through the cracks? That would be horrible.
Yeah, no, we would rather. Yeah, exactly that. That has been the playbook certainly recently, and drives, I think, a lot of the debate around it. That it would be better for people who need help to suffer than it would be for someone who may take advantage of something to get something they didn't deserve.
Yeah. And well, like, okay, but it's like it's not only that, like it's the literal instruction or requirement that they spend their entire budget on auditing and reporting and nothing on any of the actual services. Like it's nuts.
Yeah, it's the questions that I've seen, just to tie it back to the crypto stuff that I've seen that I thought were the most interesting or kind of worth talking about. I think one of these was framed in a tweet that was just like, it was framed as if it was like some really hot take or hard hitting question. And I think I could assume your answer because I imagine it's the same as mine. But the question was like, is the crypto as an industry is not doing phenomenal right now from a sentiment standpoint, from an optics standpoint, leaving the markets aside and, price action aside. But, generally now new people who discover this for the first time are discovering it because of the politics of the thing. And it just doesn't look good. And the one suffering ultimately is the industry itself, the biggest companies and brands that need to scale and grow and acquire new users and all this kind of stuff. And so the question was, is the industry complicit in its current position, considering that it pretty much got everything that it wanted and voted for?
Well, okay,
Go ahead.
That's tough, right? Because in this case, the industry is like, when you talk about the industry getting everything that it supported and voted for, you're talking specifically about institutional crypto. You're not talking about the individuals and like the evidence is the evidence, right? Like it's like a circle where it's like the fact that there is industry at all means that they're going to get what they want, but the evidence of industry means it's gone the completely other direction than it was supposed to go.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like it's yeah, it's kind of like it's a complete circle. So, well, yes, if I was super rich, I may be tempted to make sure that I stayed super rich at the expense of anybody else having the opportunity to get super rich. I think we see a lot of that, but you know, I, I don't know. I don't believe that the policy that we've gotten, or crypto getting everything that it's wanted, is really accurate,
Okay. Well,
because
I
again,
think that
it's a few rich loud people getting what they want.
well, let's not forget how many choose my words carefully here. Um I don't want to say dumb, but I kind of
You
do,
know what? Stupid is as stupid does. So
because there was a lot of people outside of the institutional core of the industry that thought that what they were getting was the bag pump 3000, and instead what they got was max extract 4000,
listen, like,
which
if somebody thought they were getting bag pump 3000, they do not understand at all how any of this works. And like,
certainly, but
touches
but
on
I'm saying that that drove a lot of the public discourse around the framing of the
single
previous
issue voters.
election. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As it always does, right? Single issue voters end up burning themselves more often than not, because the inability to recognize nuance is one of the things leading to the downfall of society, in my humble opinion. But
Of course.
here specifically, we have these multi-letter agencies that are at their core tasked with protecting people in whatever their particular flavor is. That's the point. If you and please, for the sake of this little bit of the conversation here, forget the way that agencies have been run in the past. Forget about corrupt leaders and whatever. I'm talking about theoretically. These things were built to protect the everyday person. That's effectively government's position, right? Protect
Protect
the
the citizens.
small
Yeah.
protect the small citizens who get forgotten by the large machine that is government in a country this size. And if you so it turns out, I mean, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's seen a handful of the posts that are like, did we kick Gary out too soon? Something to that effect. And
Oh, Gary.
while I was no stranger to dissenting opinions about the conduct of Gary Gensler while he was in his office, what we swapped it for was effectively the removal of any oversight whatsoever. And even though this whole industry would probably look at you and say, like, yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried getting purged and FTX being toppled and Luna collapsing and all of these other things, that have failed, that needed to go away to overall make the industry a better place to exist, should have gone that way. At the end of the day, the only thing we've really done legislatively or legally or politically since the changeover here to the crypto capital of the world has been to eradicate all forms of oversight. And we are just seeing every single day now what that looks like in practice. And spoiler alert, it's not good.
Yeah, what's that movie? The Purge. What we have is The Purge. So yes, agreed.
So the
I don't
additional
want
context to that question, Emily, just because when I say, like, is the industry complicit? Did they get what they wanted? I'm talking about like the things specifically that were lobbied for, like all of the dropped investigations, all the issuance for letters of no action, regulators who frame themselves as being friendly, legislation technically moving, even though so far what we've seen are just corporate benefits packages, stuff like that. I don't necessarily mean like the few people who just wanted all of the oversight to go away, or people who wanted to get away with more crime, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't quite want to call Gary Gensler a maligned woman of history, but he is quickly assuming that role. Like he was turned into a villain.
Certainly.
Without people truly understanding the context for it. And like I
Yes.
think people they just got too, I don't know, too confident in the casino, where they just like expected easy money no matter what it was. And somehow he became the mascot of whatever was standing in the way between somebody and easy money, because they
Yeah.
needed to be able to do something more technically illegal, or they needed to like be able to promise somebody returns or something while they sell a shit coin, or like whatever it is, which was never truly the issue. People were mostly concerned about having to like KYC when they bought something that cost a lot of money and then sell it for a lot of money later. I don't know. It's like it's just like such, it's like it's like the type of hot take I'd expect from a middle schooler who just read a book outside of the history textbook,
Yeah.
where they're like getting a very squishy grip on like that there's a world beyond the classroom, and like starting to understand it without actually having any of the context or tools to analyze it. Like it's strictly Dunning-Kruger, I guess, is what it comes
Yes.
down to. It's strictly Dunning-Kruger, and like there's nothing I can say that's gonna help somebody who's super convinced in their ways that that's what's up. Did you see that tweet that was going around today? I like choked on whatever I was drinking when I came across it.
I
It
saw
was
one that I
like,
was going to bring up. I'm curious if it's the same one.
I don't know. This one, mine was about AI.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it just says it just says Claude, confirm all my pre-existing cognitive biases and amplify them by sycophantically agreeing with all my ideas. Make no mistakes.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right.
On a lighter note, the Claude related tweet that I saw the other day was someone who had taken a screenshot of them getting the Chipotle AI assistant on the ordering website to vibe code something, and
Hell
just
yeah.
saying like, who needs Claude code when me and
I think I came
Chipotle are
across
out
that.
here
That was
building
funny.
web apps.
Hell yeah. Listen, I'm all for that. Like, take it back from the man. Besides,
No,
Chipotle's gone way downhill.
So the tweet that I thought you were going to bring up was this really long one that I got tagged in. Or no, sorry, I didn't get tagged in this one. I stumbled upon a couple quote tweets on it, and it was this. I was not familiar with the account that tweeted it, but basically it was like it was a satirical fictional recounting from the point of view of the individual who placed the $1.5 billion and subsequent $200 million S&P 500 and then oil futures buys and sells, and basically trying to spin this yarn as if it wasn't a crime. It was just pattern recognition. And the comments,
yeah, totally.
the comments made me want to like just walk into the ocean, because all of them were like, oh my God, didn't think about it this way. Oh my God, hadn't considered this. Oh my God. And I'm like, first of all, in this fictional story that this individual created for this tweet, which was well written, I have to say, they admitted to at least 3 crimes that I could pick out just in the first 30 seconds of looking at it. And all of them were related to insider trading. So it was basically like someone who said, hey, I'm not insider trading. I'm just recognizing patterns given to me and confirmed by my insiders. And, and
that's pretty funny. There's a name for that, for all the people agreeing in the comments, and that's called manufactured consent. And we have been struggling as a population with manufactured consent since like the 20s.
So a couple of these,
we have a century of history with manufactured consent.
So these two terms that you've used recently, so Dunning-Kruger being the idea that as your knowledge on a subject increases, your confidence to be an expert in that subject also decreases, thus leading to the most loud and outspoken opinions, voices, and contributions to the conversation around that topic to be led by the dumbest people.
It is a bell curve, which is important.
Yes.
It's very important. So like the idea is that like as you as you start to learn about something, you think you know everything about it. And the more you learn about something, the more you know you do not know anything close to how much there is to know about it. And I would describe this most closely as the intellect of a 9-year-old. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, it, through maybe no fault of their own, 9-year-olds often do exhibit Dunning-Kruger-like tendencies to just be very confident in something they don't understand.
Well, it's like literally like they finally have like a more advanced cognitive ability to like problem solve and put things together and like observe and like recall all that stuff, right? Like it's, you're reaching like a point of like brain maturity, but then at the same time, it's like they just say like completely crazy shit. Like one of my kids' friends constantly tells my kid how she's smarter than her dad and she's smarter than the teacher and she's smarter than all of these people. And I'm like, listen, I know that kid, and quite frankly, I probably consider her above average, but she is no way smarter than her dad, who is a barred attorney and an engineer. Like, who is also an adult, right? Like,
yeah, details.
And like, it's pretty funny to hear, right? You're like, oh yeah, no.
Yeah. So, okay. I'll loop in a question we just got from someone in the audience that I think is a good one. I think this deserves to be talked about. We could kind of reframe it a little bit because I think this actually highlights a huge misconception about crypto. So the question is, do you guys think that it was better off for crypto to stay unregulated like in 2020 or before? And
That's
so I saw your face light up.
Yeah.
My footnote here before I let Emily take it is that the misconception in that question, which I don't blame you for, is that crypto was unregulated. That is largely what the conversation around it from people, again, like we were just discussing, who do not know what they're talking about, presented it as. But crypto has been overregulated since its inception because it has been misclassified, mischaracterized, misunderstood, and just, largely having conversations driven by people with a desire to extract as much as possible. So
it's
the whole
just
point of
congeniality.
Well, the point of the legislation we're theoretically getting right now, this Clarity Act, is not to introduce regulation for the first time. It is, as the name implies, designed to, for the first time, offer some sort of clarity, some sort of framework to fix all of the rules that do touch crypto and have touched it since its inception, to make it actually make sense. So my answer to that question is no. I don't think that what it was before was helpful. I think that the focus was on the wrong stuff. But life for someone who was intending to use crypto, what it's intended to be used for, and then follow laws and be an upstanding citizen who does what they're supposed to do and pays their taxes and does the thing and whatever. That was very, very difficult to do. Still is, because we're not interested in fixing any of those things. We're interested in making it easier for large corporations to make as much money as humanly possible, now also using crypto. So good question. Misframed, because it was regulated. It was just regulated poorly. And now it is still misregulated, but going in the direction of just making sure that we protect corporate interests, because that's the only thing that the US government gives a shit about.
So I will jump onto the misframed side of this,
Okay.
which is that when people were begging for regulation, what they really wanted was to be able to fully understand where the four corners of legality lied, so they can exploit it to its maximum potential, because they missed the early days where there was astronomical gains, and they want to try to relive that or suss that back out again. And they are trying to present more regulation as an opportunity to recreate that environment, which it truly is not. It's just a missed opportunity, and the majority of that opportunity lied in cross-border arbitrage. And we've come close to eliminating the cross-border arbitrage, except when it comes to like tax advantages. And most people don't really understand how to take advantage of those things or have the capital to take advantage of those things, because you need to have like the right type of entities set up. You need like at least $100,000 to really get these things going, and then some capital to like invest in it, where you can, you can gain from the tax advantages as well as have enough operating funds to do the things that you could benefit from in a tax scenario. And like it's just like a misunderstanding of what somebody wants, or someone trying to kind of like misrepresent what they're really asking for. And what they're really asking for is a lottery ticket that they have the winning numbers on, but they don't have that. You never know when you have that. So
it's
like a time machine. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. The way that I usually frame it like that is just, I really wish that all of the conversations that had been had that were intended, these panels, these like these committees, these symposiums, these roundtables, these gathering of experts. One of the things that I complain about a lot when I complain about Congress is that Congress has the ability to summon, request, and interview or learn from anybody on Earth that they would like to. And they're supposed to do that in order to better inform the laws that they are tasked with creating. And when it came time to start holding these panels to start understanding the crypto space more, they only ever interviewed these billionaire, like corporate tech bros who built giant companies that made a ton of money. They never spoke to, the way that, like, if you were trying to come up with some sort of a law about something medical, you would probably interview a lot of doctors. If you were trying to write a law for,
you get experts, you get expert witnesses,
subject matter experts. And believe it or not, the guys who are the tech bros who are building these gigantic companies are not subject matter experts when it comes to this stuff. But they never interviewed or requested audience from cryptographers or from economists or from, I mean, pick anything that actually has some sort of subject matter expertise that was relevant to all of this. So, as a result, what we had was a nightmarishly hellish tax landscape to try to navigate. You had a bunch of misidentified assets that we were just debating one single aspect to, which is it or is it not a security, but not how should someone be legally allowed to own it? How do you trade it? How, in what way are you able to use it? What kind of tax do you owe on it? Oh, we don't know. Just tax them 17 different ways, on and on and on and on. And instead, we got the Genius Act, which is meant to just make sure that big companies get to make as much money as they can by making their own stablecoin. And then Clarity, which effectively helps drive home now also a corporate benefits package for crypto companies as well. So
I love corporate welfare. It's
corporate
great.
Socialism.
Yeah, corporate socialism is excellent. There's nothing stopping you from making a corporation.
I like this. Not to brag, but I'm a subject matter expert at buying the top. Amen, brother.
Same. I don't buy anything anymore, but yeah, it's.
So, do you mind if I pivot, or do you have
Congress,
do you have a final thought on this whole on that question?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it, right? Like it's just I would again point to manufactured consensus on that, right? Where that's what you have been fed, and therefore that's the starting point of understanding, and everything you learn from that point forward is going to come from that particular position, and it's often justified with a strong dose of morality. And once you've been put in that position to believe that that's the moral position, anything that you hear in favor of it is going to reinforce that that's the moral position. And anything you hear against it, you're going to instantly, vehemently opposed, because internally it feels like someone is calling you amoral, and it
Yeah.
completely prohibits you from being able to actually absorb the information and analyze what's going on. And I think that that is endemic to crypto, and I think it has a lot to do with how we ended up where we are, because like a lot of what you were being fed is like, oh, the tools for financial freedom, and like down with the big banks, and this is how you can retire eventually and not have to work till the day you die, right? Or like you can take care of your mom's rent, or like, you know,
Well,
whatever these types of like, you know, magic
think about
answers are.
think about the single biggest lie told to you, the proverbial you, about crypto in general, is that I cannot tell you how many videos I have seen that frame it exactly like this. And unless you are just defining the word decentralized, you're lying to somebody. Crypto is this instrument that removes all of the intermediaries, all of the middle people from the transaction landscape, whether that's a purchase, a sale, a borrow, a lend, a stake, a swap, or whatever.
No, that's funny. That is delusion.
When in reality, what it's been has been trading your middleman that you have now for a new middleman who loves you. This time they really want what's best for you. But like, you know, at the end of the day,
He loves your money.
Which exchange you're using, there's the middle person. Which DEX are you using? The lab exists, right? Like all of these things. There are very few instances wherein there actually is no intermediary. Almost none.
I think the funniest part about that, it just goes to show how little they actually understand about the environment that they chose to participate in, which is super problematic, right? Like this should scream problem to them, because if you think that there isn't like a MEV bot or a router, or even not understanding what a validator does,
but you got to remember,
got to
remember, if the thing that brings you into the conversation for the first time is someone scaring you about yet another thing that's going to leave you behind, but if you act now, you have the opportunity to not get screwed. That's a compelling case. And then because the way, like, this is actually one of the main reasons that I started my platform and that this show even began, was because I can't even begin to tell you how many times I was hate watching a live stream where someone would ask a basic question and it would either just get ignored or it would be called out as being like, just look it up, do your research, whatever. I hate the phrase "do your research." So as a result though, what do? You bully a bunch of people away from asking a question for fear that it's going to be looked at as a stupid question, and you just sort of accept something that you've been told because it kind of makes sense, and it preys on, maybe desperation, or it preys on a vulnerability that you have, or it preys on some sort of crappy scenario that you're stuck in, or whatever, what have you.
If you're at the top of the MLM, your downline is lucrative. It is in your best interest to convince as many people as possible to join your downline, because that makes your position worth more money. And I think, like, when people call crypto a Ponzi, I'm like, I can see why you would think that. But again, that's like a very simplified understanding of it. And like, I don't believe that crypto is a Ponzi. I do believe
some are, but there's nuance for a reason.
Well, capitalism's a Ponzi if we're really going to be that.
Yes, agreed. 100%.
Derivative about it. So, but like, ultimately, and we've talked about this before, ultimately, like, the value that I find in crypto has a lot more to do with a distributed layer of storage and information, where you can capitalize on a huge amount of data and other people's software that's just sitting out there to make like a really elegant transaction, where you combine the cost of the purchase with the good being delivered, or the access being delivered. And there is no way to separate those two things. Like, to me, that's a tremendous value. But to a lot of other people, the value they see is, Frapboy Tarot charting. How can I make money on these trades going up and down, without ever truly understanding that the reason the value of the currency is going up and down is because it's driven by how many people are trying to leverage it for storage of the information. And like, while the trades add a ton of information to what's happening, it's still at its core is primarily used as, a decentralized storage mechanic. And like, you can make it more expensive to do what it's meant to do, but like buying those tokens for storage before they get more expensive ultimately is going to be useful to somebody. And if you don't know how to use it for storage, or you don't understand what you might want to use it for, it's kind of like going to the gold rush and setting up a store for fancy dresses because you don't quite understand what somebody is actually trying to buy. And you're like, well, how come I didn't make any money on my fancy dresses? And it's like, well, because no one wants fancy dresses. They want picks and shovels and pans. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So like, I think that's like a lot of people's experience where they just aren't able to locate the information that really explains to them how
Mm.
these things work. And like, yeah,
I
here we
mean,
are. And then they get mad because they have bags, and then they want regulation because that's going to get more people on crypto, and that's going to help their bags go up so they can dump them on somebody else who also doesn't get it. But like, that's not what we're looking at here.
yeah, no, I think you're completely right, and I think you touch on another thing that we have definitely talked about before, which is how hard it is just to get good information. I mean, you can have the purest motive in the world, the desire to learn something new about this thing that you're curious about that you don't understand. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you do like it. You're just, for whatever reason, whatever your motive is, you're trying to understand it. It is so hard to learn about it. I mean, okay, so you Google something, great. What if you land on Reddit because it's the most, popular, heavily SEO optimized, heavily most heavily optimized for search engine, whatever, blah blah blah. You find it there. Okay, great. That sucks. You ask your favorite LLM because that's new and that seems great. Statistically, they hallucinate more than 40% of the time. Okay, great. That sucks. Still have to fact check everything. Great. Okay, well, let me at least like go and look at my favorite media news outlet. Oh yikes, they're first of all, they're either not reporting on it or they're underreporting on it or over reporting on it, whatever. It's just it's exhausting. So I mean, I get it. What are you realistically supposed to do if you are busy and you don't have 7 hours to sit somewhere and parse through just a mountain of nonsense to try to pull out like one piece of valid
So
information from a reputable source amidst all of the gobbledygook?
like, listen, it just has to be your hobby is what it comes down to if you really want to be educated in it. And that's the same position that anybody is in who gets into, stock trading, for example, as a hobby, right? Or somebody who decides to take control of their home maintenance and doesn't want to like hire out a handyman. You're going to spend a good amount of time and money investing into being able to do those things yourself, and in the long term it may be worth it. But like, no matter what, all of these things kind of become a hobby, and like that's it. Like, you can't, and you're going to prioritize it based on what your interests are or what you're capable of doing, or like maybe you're not physically capable of maintaining your own house, but this is something you could do because you can sit on your computer, or whatever it is. But like, I think it's just that, like wanting people who don't have the time to invest to be able to understand it in a snap is just never there. And like, I don't have to understand how a combustion engine works to sit in my car and turn the key and
Yeah.
drive away, but I do know how to change my oil, and I can do basic electrical stuff, and I know what a canvas is. So like, I think that there's a lot of levels to understanding it. You just have to understand that, like, at the same time, I would never attempt to repair my own engine because I know that that is very fucking stupid. And I think that there is people who get ahead of themselves when it comes to crypto because it's just like, oh, how many times can I click in a day? And like, that is ultimately what takes them down. And like, I've learned plenty of hard lessons myself, but like, it is a dense environment, and without a pretty strong background in, economics and cryptography and like engineering and networking, it's going to be a much harder learning curve over time, especially with the rate that people are able to um, create these environments or these new financial tools, just because we're in that exponential growth period. So yeah, it's gonna be hard. Someone said, "What's a canvas?" It's a can bus, can bus. Um, That's like the brain of your car. If it has any electronics beyond an ignition switch. Okay, so
That's
yeah,
my favorite. That's my favorite analogy of all time. No, no, wait, I take that back. I don't think that's technically an analogy, but just that you don't have to be a mechanic to use your car to go get groceries. And that's what
not at
most people are
all.
trying to do.
But I do know
Uh,
where the brake is. I know where the gas is, right? And I know how to use my
yeah.
turn signals. Because
I think
like,
the reason though that it means more, at least to me, to try to work on the misinformation side of all of this more aggressively is because with some stuff you might just kind of go off into the world with the wrong idea, and with this you might sink way more money than you can afford to lose into something that you were told was a sure thing by a voice that you had no reason at the time not to trust.
yeah, but you also might do that after playing, roulette for free online and then walk into the casino and not be able to figure out why it's totally different.
Sure.
Like,
but
like
but casinos at least have some framework of rules that make sense and have some amount of oversight.
sort of. I don't think most people that go into a casino, especially for just a weekend entertainment in Vegas, really understand what, RTP means on a slot
I
machine.
agree. No,
Like,
I agree. I agree
and
completely. But
I don't think that they're
that's my
able to calculate, the odds in favor of the house on a roulette wheel with 1 0, 2 zeros, or 3 zeros. Like there's a
I agree.
whole bunch of stuff that's not in your favor.
But that's my point. That's my point. My point is that there is a framework that exists wherein if you were to go look up a breakdown of the odds on this or that or this game or that game or the specific rules about this, that, or the other thing, then great, that exists. That's a thing that you can go look up. If you were trying to go try to find the statistical likelihood that you were going to get fleeced on a meme coin, then perhaps at this point, you'd be able to find someone who says, yeah, 99.999% of the time you're going to lose.
Well, quick pause.
But
That's because it's not a statistical chance. That's because it's programmatic. Like the result of you entering a meme coin was programmed from the start. Like the last time we had an organic runner was like Pepe. I don't think we've
Mhm.
had an organic runner since then because it's so easy to make it programmatic.
Yeah. No, I think that kind of just it goes into the point that I'm trying to make here, which is just that there is no consistent framework that you can dig into to understand and wrap all of this up.
Well,
Like
okay, so the thing is that there is, and I think this is the biggest issue. And the consistent framework is understanding what we talked about earlier, which is things like networking and cryptography
Mhm.
and software engineering and also economics and being able to borrow certain tools and even understand like current fiat financial markets because those things are easily applied in crypto. Like you have to I think frequently the framework is improper where, the easiest entry is someone saying, "Oh yeah, just like DCA into Bitcoin," right? Or like whatever it's going to be. Like if you buy over a long period of time, you're going to get things that are a little bit cheaper, you're going to get things that are a little more expensive, but if you believe it'll go up in the long term, you'll have like a good average price and it won't hurt you too bad and you can, call that your rainy day fund, your nest egg, whatever it's going to be, as long as it's like a long-term thing. But that's a very simplified introduction. And then you get on, Twitter or whatever, and you see people getting in there making crazy amounts of money on meme coins and not understanding how they make crazy money on meme coins. And why can't you make crazy money on meme coins? And then you go and you buy some dumb meme coin without understanding exactly what makes that meme coin tick. And then you're like, why did I lose all my money? I just kept putting more money into it because I bought the dip and here I am broke. But that's somebody who understands it as gambling and they don't understand it as a programmatic result that was already put in there. And there are whales working in every single environment that you enter in crypto, understanding exactly what happens. And, so many of the super strong believers, here's my hot take of the day. So many of those super strong believers are not willing to acknowledge that the whale they're fighting against is Ripple when they buy XRP. Like it's just like a lot of it's got a lot to do with framing. It's got a lot to do with like the foundational knowledge. But like I think if you don't understand, you see this a lot in people who like live beyond their means,
Oh,
right? Where
Emily,
it's like, so what?
can I interrupt you to inject a question that we had, because
Uh-huh.
I think we just kind of answered it, but I want to like be specific about the way that we did.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna apologize to where'd it go? Where did it go? To Jay, who asked the question and then said, "With all due respect, you're rambling." First of all, yeah, it's a force of habit. In my defense, I'm a talk show host, and it's what I do for a living. But
Sorry.
the question was,
Me or you?
no.
Rude.
I think we actually did answer the question. So I just want to highlight how we did, because
Mhm.
it was kind of an accident, but we walked here all by ourselves. So the question that Jay asked originally was, I'm curious why this bull run didn't have that parabolic feeling that previous ones did.
Wait,
And
nobody asked that question. Okay, anyways, sorry.
they did ask it
You
30
didn't
to
repeat
20
that out loud, and I'm not allowed to read the comments. So
20 minutes ago. I know that's true. You're not allowed to read the comments.
I'll answer it though. But yes, go ahead.
Well, so obviously we know that there are several ingredients and several pieces that contributed to this one feeling different.
Mhm.
I do always point out just a couple things, and then I'm going to let you continue, because you were kind of mid answer to this exact question about, the game changing from, organic runners based on a whole host of different potential ingredients to this programmatic landscape wherein a very specific outcome was engineered from the beginning to do a specific thing.
Mhm.
So there are several things that contributed to it, but one thing I do like to point out is that, first of all, even if we just go back in time one bull run, there were roughly 32,000 cryptos at the peak of the last cycle, and now there
Blockchains or
are
cryptos?
individual cryptocurrencies, different tokens that
Okay.
existed. And now that number has increased by over 1,000 times. There are more than
Pumped on
40
hell
million.
yeah.
There are
That's
more
fun.
than 40 million different cryptocurrencies that exist now, and
I
that
like big
happened.
numbers. That's fun.
That happened within the last few years, and now
Yeah.
we are
Huh.
increasing at a point for a time where we were adding more than 1 million a month. So, the ability for all of those to just run, it's impossible. It just doesn't work like that. And I always also point out that in a world of anecdotes, Solana, for example, a major crypto that pretty much everybody who has ever been involved in this space has heard of, went from $8 to almost 300. And if you don't call that a parabolic run, I don't know what is. So it happened. It just didn't happen in the way that I think people were maybe leading you to believe that it might. But then for the reasons that Emily was just discussing about, different outcomes being programmed from the beginning,
So
the game has changed.
So here's why this run was not parabolic compared to the rest. Where like yes, Solana was a huge run, but it wasn't like it wasn't even like a 10x. Or wait, no, I guess it was a 10x. It wasn't a
Much more than that.
100x. Yeah. But like the reason is almost entirely due to fractionalization. So we went from an environment where there was just a couple of ETFs out there, and it was just buying like grayscale on in your like 401k or whatever it was, and then we went into a world where there is just an infinite potential for fractionalization, and that fractionalization is on the majors, but it's also on the shit coins and the blockchains themselves. So there's only so much money coming into crypto, but as a result of the fractionalization, because it's so easy to acquire it, it also makes it super easy to bet against it. And it's also super easy to hedge your bet against it. So if you are a super large financial institution that maybe bought some MicroStrategy, and then you also shorted Bitcoin as a result, it's in your best interest for Bitcoin to go down. So you are going to take a lot of your money and you're going to compound a ton of shorts. And if Bitcoin takes a small dip and people start getting liquidated on the way down, that liquidation is going to snowball, right? And because Bitcoin still is kind of like the king of all the cryptos and indicates the health of the market, if Bitcoin cascades, everything else totally cascades, and people start running for their houses. It's effectively a bank run. And so because of the super easy ability to access crypto through fractionalization, it created this massive bank run snowball effect. And then on top of that, you have the concept of seigniorage, right? Where it's very easy for anybody to make currency that has some sort of really minimal value, and then for people to go in and to increase that value based on speculation only, but not on any actual use for that crypto. However, what that does in each of the individual blockchains is it increases demand for the chain token, right? So when shitcoins were running on Ethereum, Ethereum was pumping. When shitcoins were running on Solana, Solana was pumping. That act of seigniorage creates the opportunity for arbitrage because the demand for those tokens is going up because people are buying more shitcoins. But again, because we have a lot more adoption on this fractionalization, where it's much easier to borrow against your assets or to short assets. You can even short assets in the form of single-sided liquidity, unlike Uniswap v3. So, and now we have Uniswap v4, and we have even fancier tools on Solana. We have like Meteora's DLMM, which is like predefined buckets of exactly what's going to happen. It makes it impossible to have a parabolic run in any of these cryptos because they don't actually mean what they used to mean, and the access isn't limited anymore. And like people will cite things like the reduction of the gold backed US dollar or whatever as as like the collapse of finance in America, but like that's like a really again like misguided point, because it's got nothing to do with the fact that we no longer have a huge stock of gold, or it's been like liquidated, or even that we have way more dollars than we could ever acquire in gold. It has to do with the fact that we live in a country that relies entirely on the annual growth of the GDP in order to be able to pay our debts, and inflation is literally required for us to not implode and become hugely vulnerable to enemy states. And like people just don't see it that way, because they see the fact that gas is going up and their grocery bills are going up and clothes are shittier and more expensive, and like here, damn, it sucks to be the proletariat, but like that's just the reality of it. And like without accepting the reality of it, you're never able to navigate outside of it. So anyways, that's why the run was not parabolic. You will never see another parabolic crypto run ever again, unless all of these non-financial institutions issue more stable coins and they have the ability to collateralize. And when everybody jumps ship, they jump ship onto crypto. That will be a parabolic run.
Yeah, I mean,
but we don't want that. That would, you would be rich in a world where money can't buy you anything. So, yeah.
It's theoretically possible, but unbelievably improbable and unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're going to have the isolated instances wherein something just does exceedingly well for, whatever reason. But then again, you still have to get into the subtle nuances of why do cryptos increase in price at all. It has nothing to do with, expansion of adoption of this particular asset. It has to do with, renewed feverish speculation about more future adoption of the asset, more so than it does actually getting implemented. I mean, look at Ethereum. That thing has been effectively it feels just like it's been, in a channel for years, right? Like just doing the thing. And yet it's constantly referred to by the same, bajillionaire, that most people enjoy bootlicking in this industry for some reason. Larry Fink has called it the home of all tokenization. And yet here we are, but not enough to drive the speculation at this point.
But Ethereum is the golden child of stable coins, which is going to mean a lot for Ethereum going forward. Yeah, so I think that's significant. I would also point out that like what I think people often forget about Solana is that Solana is inflationary, and like the inflation reduces over time, but like the dollar, or I guess coin per coin outside of the market cap, your coins would have been worth more at a lower market cap in Solana's like first astronomical run in like what 2020 or 2021, whenever that happened, versus now where it's like I think the difference is something like 70 to 80%. Like it would have been worth like significantly more. I'd have to like do the math, but I'm pretty sure that was like the last thing I heard. So it's like, oh, you know, when it was trading at close to 300, it would have actually been more like 550, 600. But because it's inflationary, it's gone down. Well, Solana is one in particular that like you don't want to necessarily hold through a non-dynamic period. You want to actively be like dumping it and buying it. Damn, someone just I'm not allowed to look at the comments.
Yeah, it's okay. I thought we were gonna have fun. That's our like resident I don't know what you want to call him. I say him because I know unequivocally that it's a man.
It's a heckler.
Yeah, but like they have like a really classic script that so for podcast line, we have this one individual who pops up on TikTok, not as often as he used to. I have to say, he's been really slacking, and has like the same 13 comments that he pops in and drops and then leaves. And you can only take it so far before I'm done with you. It's all fun and games if you just want to call me a loser, but
I mean, if you want some help with like creative insults, I'm mean. I'm really mean, but
no, I don't think they're receptive to constructive feedback. You know, it's just one of those. It's just
RIP dog.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
I had higher hopes for my first like really dedicated heckler, but they just never bring any new material, so it's boring now.
That's what a bummer.
I know.
Like,
I feel like
work with me, and let me do some crowd work. Like, I'm here for it. Let's fucking go.
I know, it's okay. It's like, dude, you can only call me stupid so many times before I'm like, all right, buddy. Like I used to be in 3rd grade. Now I'm not anymore. I need you to.
What are your credentials?
I don't have any. It's a fake radio show. What do you want from me?
Right.
All right, Jay.
I got a driver's license.
Jay Heat, it's up to you now. I had to mute RPS today, so we'll give him another chance next time. But you can take.
Jay Heat's not going to be a heckler. Jay Heat's got like a low key crush on me. So
Johnny can't be a heckler. He's way too nice. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
I know.
You can try, and I appreciate you volunteering as tribute. But
he's gonna be like, "Where's your hat?" Like.
It's okay. It's the thought that counts. It's the thought that counts, Jay Heat, and I appreciate you for that. Okay. So, Emily, I flagged one more thing just in case we had. I wanted to hit this just before we. And this is something you actually gave us a really good breakdown a number of weeks ago.
Okay.
And
Emily's greatest hits. Let's play it.
No, this is definitely an Emily's greatest hits. Actually, you alluded to this before the news headline broke, so I'm going to give you props for that too. But I'm talking specifically about the revelation. I don't know. It was a couple weeks ago now that
they call me Polymarket Nostradamus. Let's fucking go.
I'm talking about the 49% ownership stake in USD1 from the UAE National Security Advisor. And
yes.
And I thought, okay, I think this would be interesting to flag again, because in no world is that not immediately flagged by oversight. And you'll notice that it got published as a headline for about 18 seconds before it fell out of the culture sphere, and we don't talk about it anymore, even though it is a staggering revelation. So I thought that would be interesting just to highlight like the instances wherein oversight should have stepped in and how none of it has. So there are 4.
Let's do it.
There are 4.
Emily was right. This is my favorite show.
No, this is definitely as we close down tonight. This is an episode of Emily Was Right.
That's my favorite. There's nothing I love more. It's like that and winning. Those are like my 2 favorite things. Also, getting my macarons right. Oh my god.
Okay, let's put a pin in that one too, because that is one of those things that I always see like on the baking championships, and it's like, man, you either nail it or not, but like it's always such a high stress moment. There's this little spot in Savannah that sells them, and I love them. I had never really eaten them before we found this little spot. But anyway, okay, I'm getting off top. There are four there are four sources of oversight that should be stepping in to involve themselves or at least investigate this this large ownership stake in the president of the United States personal crypto business by a foreign security advisor in a different country halfway around the world. One of that is OFAC, the Treasury. There's a committee on foreign investment in the U.S. That one, I will be honest, I'm not familiar with them really at all. Couldn't really tell you anything about them, but they're on the list. The next big one, obviously, is the DOJ/FBI. And then, of course, Congress. There are multiple congressional subcommittees that should be dealing with this. And notably, nobody is. So, Emily, take it away. The reason I say particularly that you were right about this, one, because even before this ownership revelation came in, you did a piece, and I'm trying to remember the full specifics on it, but you had a segment in one of our very first episodes that was talking about Genius specifically, and the foreign interest and ownership stakes like in different pieces of the US dollar senior. Yes,
in World
exactly.
Liberty Financial. Yeah.
So
I'll
pass it over to you. Go ahead.
So to like recall what we were talking about with World Liberty Financial and Trump Coin is that World Liberty Financial wasn't like directly involved, but the government investment entity in Saudi Arabia made an investment into Binance using USD1, which is the World Liberty Fi stablecoin, to the tune of like $2.1 billion. And at this time, like we have evolved since then, at this time, Binance owns something like controls something like 70 to 80% of all of the USD1 from World Liberty Fi. And this is related to Genius and Clarity, because a lot of what's in Genius and Clarity, I guess this is specifically Clarity, is about the regulations that you're subjected to if a coin is not properly decentralized. And in order for something to be considered properly decentralized, any individual can't own like 20% of it. And this puts Binance into a really interesting position because they are custodying this as an investment on behalf of Saudi Arabia, which is like so crazy, especially if you consider where Saudi Arabia is now with their fresh water supply and their electrical supply, and what's happening to their oil supply, which they burn in their desalination plants in order to generate all of this fresh water and electrical. And like, that's one of the benefits of just like living in Saudi Arabia. You don't pay for water. But they're like absolutely sinking. And like, that puts them in a really like, well, why did they make this investment in Binance using USD1, which is the stablecoin from World Liberty Fi? And why is that allowed to be the stablecoin of choice? And I'm pretty sure this happened like before anybody could even like buy USD1 in the open market, which is like one of the biggest red flags. So like, what the fuck?
Yeah, go figure. It's just insider action. So it's not the only instance either, because for example,
no, not at all.
Justin's son
did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and then he got pardoned. What? So weird.
Go figure. Yeah, so did CZ. This is one of those instances where I actually am starting to see a few more questions get raised finally about the nature of this. Where was it? There was just an interview on like some mainstream channel that I was like, wow, that's an insightful question, where someone was like, wait, oh, no, I'm sorry. It was not a mainstream like media outlet. It was who's that one dumbass with a podcast? He's like a comedian. Is it Andrew something? Oh man, it'll come to me. I can see his face so clearly in my head, but he like poses when he's like, wait a second, Why wouldn't anyone who wanted to curry favor just buy a lot of the meme coin? There's nothing that prevents anyone on Earth from buying that. And the revelation was like, yeah, nailed it, buddy, nailed it. That is why oversight is supposed to exist. But
that's funny. I like that. That's cute.
Is it Andrew Schultz? Is that a name?
I don't know. I'm sure that's someone's name.
I mean, specifically, yes, it is. It is Andrew Schultz. Whatever his podcast is called, I don't know what it's called, but that guy, definitely, stumped pretty hard for this administration to be elected, and is now, upset. As one does.
All they have to do is watch our TikTok live, and they get all the information.
I know, for real. Watch one of my many fake radio shows.
46 other people.
It's
on a good day.
Really
Sometimes
missing out.
It's 13 people. That's so funny. I love it for us.
It is what it is.
Good thing you locally recorded all those episodes, huh?
Hey, yeah, I know. Right. Well, I can't believe I remembered. I usually remember as soon as I hit end stream and the little thing pops up that says your single recording is ready. And today I won't have that. But anyway.
Good shit.
Yeah, there's a comment from MW Jones on TikTok a minute ago that said oversight is now overlooked. And yeah, pretty much. I mean, the problem really is that there's no incentive. Everything always comes down to incentives. And right now, as it stands, there is no incentive for accountability inside of a political party. Why would you eat your own when you're so committed to the bit that is your feud with the other side? And it's starting to crack. That facade is starting to chip away little bit by little bit. And I'm extremely curious. Can you imagine if let's just pretend that the clock struck 12, the planets aligned, and lightning struck, and all of a sudden everything that should be overseen just started to be looked at? Can you even fathom how many investigations and lawsuits and at some point.
They wouldn't be able to do any of them because they'd have to be auditing and reporting all of their spend instead of actually doing their job. That's funny. That's funny. I think there's a lot of zero-sum games in this world, and that is one of them. But there's a whole lot of things that aren't, right? Even money's only a zero-sum game temporarily. It's not permanently a zero-sum game. There's always more money because that's how the economy is defined. You don't have to be.
Let's end with that. No, because you sent this tweet to the group chat earlier this week. About the article published by Fortune that labels the U.S. government as being insolvent, and
God, that one was a nasty read.
Yeah, do you want to read everyone in briefly?
Yeah, let me just see if I can get rid of all my stupid pop-ups. Okay, so basically the headline was the Treasury just declared the U.S. insolvent. The media missed it. And if you want to FUD this, it's in Fortune. So I guess the TLDR here, God, it's popping up stupid fucking ads. The TLDR is it's $6.06 trillion in assets against 47.78 trillion in liabilities. And if you're right, so if you're a mom and pop shop, you can't get that far down the road because that's definitely the type of debt that's considered completely unrecoverable. They don't let you get that far. Ironically, banks are allowed to leverage your money 25x. But yeah, like it's just like such a crazy number that's out there. And as we keep mentioning over and over and over again, is that the biggest issue that we're facing with stable coins and non-bank issuers is that they're heavily incentivized to make interest on their on the assets that they hold. And the only way that non-bank financial institutions are able to do that is with T-bills. And if you overbuy T-bills, it reduces the return rate on T-bills. And then if nobody will buy your T-bills become a liquid, then your stablecoin becomes a liquid. So like here we are, but America isn't going away, and America can't declare themselves bankrupt. And like a big point, I think like a big gotcha point that people in like internet forums and like social media like to make is like, oh, we're spending all this money on foreign aid and foreign wars, and people are poor at home. We're like, we don't have health care. And I think it's really important to understand that like the reason we give foreign aid is, one, foreign aid is not for a government to go do whatever the fuck they want with it. It's US dollars explicitly to be used on military spending with US contractors. So it's designed to boost the US economy while also reinforcing international relationships to protect us outside, and also to maintain the US dollar as the world reserve currency. And like if we stopped doing that, you're not going to get healthcare and you're not going to get better social benefits. You just have to fucking vote for that. But also we're going to get a lot of enemies that will then turn around and be like, hey, we know you're fucking insolvent and we're just going to invade you, and good fucking luck, man. And like that's a really big problem. Because like we've known we've been insolvent for fucking years, but the US can't declare bankruptcy. There is no way for the US to declare bankruptcy. It's literally an impossibility. The only thing that could possibly happen is if all the individual US states became their own fucking countries, and like that would be the craziest shit you've ever seen. I guarantee it. So anywho, that's where we're at.
That is where we're at. Yeah, I would probably leave it there. But Emily, I'll ask you if you have any final thoughts, any words of wisdom, any music anecdotes.
I don't know. It's like Taco Tuesday. That's great.
That's true. It is. Yeah, and now that was a central theme in this satirical like insider's perspective on the $1.5 billion S&P thing was effectively you're just trading Taco Tuesday. Everybody knows that give it a handful of hours before markets close for the weekend to say something incredible and bombastic that is going to move the markets. Let the markets open and get into position with that effect taken hold, and then chicken out and reverse the position first thing Tuesday morning, just in time to capitalize in a huge way on whatever it is that you set yourself up to win on Friday evening.
You really want to be Citadel so you can collect payment for order flow. But I gotta say, like the real enshittification of the American intellect was largely due to the 24-hour news cycle. And I could like go into depth on this another time, but like, because we're now approaching, this is news. We didn't mention this, because we're now approaching 24-hour stock market cycle, 24/7 stock cycle, because that was, who, with the K, someone just got permission for it. And it was like a big deal. We were talking, it was in our chat. Tether. No, not Tether.
No, that's the audit.
Headline. Yeah, audit thing. Man, well, you know what I'm talking about, right?
About that either, but
yeah, some
Kraken
centralized exchange. Kraken, yes. Kraken now is working with the New York Stock Exchange to make stock trading 24/7 on crypto rails. And like, if you think about how stupid America got as a result of the 24-hour news cycle, finance can't be far behind. And I'm not sure if that leads to, I don't know, feudal America, or like what the actual outcome of that is, because that seems like really likely. Like we are almost in like an intellectual feudalism right now, where you're highly dependent on very concentrated and very biased sources of information in order to get any sort of information to work with. And like things like literally hard printed encyclopedias are super hard to come by these days. Like I don't even know where you would buy a set of encyclopedias, or even be able to like see it in a library. But like I think we are in like a feudal environment of intellectualism, and now we're bringing that to money. And I think we're in like a very much pay to play environment, to the point that like, you know,
Yeah.
we were making those jokes a long time ago about like, oh, you know, I forgot to pay my subscription on, you know, to the whatever it is, and now I have to die. Like it's that sci-fi movie with like Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake, Just in Time.
Oh yeah, In Time.
Is that Jessica Biel? In Time.
No, it's not. It's oh my
Someone
God, it's
else.
Amanda Seyfried.
What?
In
Who's
Time.
his mom?
Oh, Olivia Wilde.
Is it? Well, whatever. They all look the same to me. Anyways, I can't believe they didn't capitalize on calling it like Just in Time. That's like a pun written into his fucking name. That's so stupid.
Not a comedy.
Okay, so it is a little funny. But yeah, that's like I think that's what we're tracking for. And like now Kraken is working with the New York Stock Exchange, which is like setting this precedent and all these rules out where it's moving to 24/7, and like there it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Say goodbye to your money.
Definitely contributed to the not parabolic nature of the non-existent altcoin season this go around. Was, you know, also the fact that it's much easier to manipulate a market up a little bit, then down a little bit, then up a little bit, then down a little bit, then up a little bit, then down a little bit, and you can make money when it's doing that.
Money that way.
If you're set up, so it's much harder to push it to just
and
go up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
That's the one.
Man, I've never been more bullish on buying a big piece of land and getting a fucking well and
avocado
a
tree.
whole bunch of solar. And my avocado trees at my house right now. My land is not big enough. I wonder if I like can convert my child's play area into like another garden bed. I don't know, man. It is. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do to protect American people, because Citizens United means that corporations are just as important as us, except richer, so they matter more. So like, I'm thinking constitutional convention, but we like haven't had one of those in a super long time.
Something's got to give eventually.
I think that's the only thing it could be. I think it has to be a constitutional convention, but like, I don't know if that looks like the French Revolution going into it, because it might. I bet you can 3D print a guillotine.
The challenge has been issued. Send in your submissions to. I mean, yeah, you can 3D print most stuff.
Yeah.
All right. We got to go.
But that AI, by the way, AI is really bad at STL files. Just like if anyone, if your job isn't making STL files, you got at least 6 months. You're safe.
At least 6 months. Yeah. My only two AI tweets that I highlighted for myself this week to laugh at was one. It was the one like, who needs Claude code when you can vibe code with the Chipotle bot, and then
that's a good one. I like that.
And then the other one was it was a prosthetic finger that you could wear as a ring that made it look like another finger was coming out of the top, and it was like just for those instances where you need to be able to say that's not real, that's an AI picture, and I thought that was funny.
I just bought my gay uncle a shirt that's like something about like the gay of Hormuz, or like I've never been more stopped up with all these balls in the gay of Hormuz. I don't know. That was pretty funny. But yeah, I like my tweet where it was like, oh, it's so messy.
Which one?
Cool. The one I read earlier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just sycophantic AI. That's
Make no mistakes.
Here we are. Good morning. Look
All
at
right.
there. Sick.
Thank you to everyone who hung out with us tonight. I appreciate it. That was a fun one. Emily, thank you as always for spending so much of your time with me now every week as we've gotten further and further into this.
I read the comments. I was supposed to read the comments. Disco, our show is called Trust Issues. So, which I think honestly is like perfect.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of there's a couple things that I've named that I feel really good about. Trust Issues for this is up there. I had a video game studio that I started as a little startup with a very good friend of mine, and we were struggling with the name for such a long time. And one day, and he gets all the credit for this, so shout out Mac for this one. And he did not mean to name it, but he did, and that's the way the best names come up. He was just like, he made some comment about how sick, that's what it was. We woke up one day and we were submitting grant applications, and we were just getting rejected over and over and over and over again for everything. Or we would get approved for like a $10,000 grant, and then we would say, okay, well, just so you know, that's like not even enough to like start anything. So honestly, if this is all it's going to be, I would rather you keep your money because we can't do anything with that. And then they would take it away. And he was like, well, are you ready for another wonderful day of eating the glass for breakfast? And then we named the studio Glass for Breakfast. And it's my favorite name that I've ever given anything.
That checks out. Yeah.
That's why that's why my Twitter banner is that little cartoon guy with his thumb up eating a bowl of glass shards, just bleeding out of the side of his mouth.
I can't remember last time I like noticed somebody's Twitter banner, but now I'm gonna go look.
It's a good one. Shout out to Kyle for drawing that for me because it's perfect. Okay.
Imagine being so down bad you call Twitter X.
I can't. It just is something in me, just like I naturally taste bile if I accidentally say X. I just can't do it.
Imagine having all of that like strong intellectual property. Like you have a name for your single most important action, tweeting on brand, the name of your platform, Twitter, and you're like, you know what? I don't need this shit. You know what I'm gonna use? I'm gonna use variables.
Yeah.
Like what? But you know, what do I know? I don't know anything about anything.
All right. Good stuff. I will be back first thing tomorrow morning for Wednesday morning's episode of the Rise Up Morning Show, followed by After Dark. The morning show starts at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, followed by After Dark at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, Wednesday, the 25th of March. Yikes. And then we'll be back next week, same time, same place for episode 15. Look at that. Of Trust Issues. So until then, everybody, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you guys